Nigel, you're promoting a book that you wrote. It's called Phil Taylor, The Motörhead Years, 1975 to 1992. And I'm adminning a Facebook group called Motörhead The World. And I thought it would be great to catch up with you and have a discussion about your work.
I mean, there's still elements of it now, but in academia, you know, any new discipline in music has to be around a good while before they take it seriously. And heavy metal, by then, I think had sort of proven that it was here to stay and that we meant business. And academics were starting to take it seriously. You started seeing books about Sabbath, but there was nothing about drummers, you know, that we were the last thought. We were the Neanderthals of the pile, I guess. And I thought,
but not the musicians, right?
Well,
not the actual musicians.
I mean, and there was always that undercurrent. I mean, I certainly don't see it now, which is a real good thing. You know, when youngsters coming up, learning drums, there's a very formal process that you can follow. You know, you've got like Rock School who've been out there. They really fought ahead in making a clear pathway for youngsters to gain experience in learning to be a brilliant heavy metal drummer. You know, that their diploma stuff they're covering some absolutely phenomenal double bass drum pieces by Slayer and all sorts of things, you know. So academia finally caught up with it, and I went and got my master's degree in drum set performance, and I had to do a written element too. And it sort of went from there. And then I started to suffer a lot with lower back pain, which is why I don't drum as much now. Probably because at the time I started, I mean, there was no formal teaching, and I did hit the things hard, as you can imagine, being Phil Taylor being my hero at school and as a youth, you know, everything was like... But when you actually watch Phil, he's got really good technique, surprisingly. You would think surprisingly, but when I look back at it now, perhaps with a different set of eyes, you know, that's in a way what led to thinking about trying to get more recognition, certainly in an academic sense, because I went on and I started to do a PhD in ambient music because I got this big love of Floyd and Hawkwind and all that kind of stuff. And I was doing a lot of keyboards as well because I've got a lot of keyboard players in my family. So eventually it sort of rubbed off. So I love synths and that kind of thing. So I realised that there was a lot more interest in that because I did try and do some PhD stuff in drumming, but it was hard work. So I went down that road. And that sort of helped with the writing, really, to be honest. Sort of helped me to start shaping my ideas. And I thought, well, you know, I actually stopped doing the PhD mainly because the practical elements that I wanted to put in it, in creating, well, it ended up being sort of the ambient side of black metal, really, was how it ended up. You know, and I really started getting into black metal because I realised how much like Motörhead, all these guys from Norway, you know, with their axes and stuff, really
typically heavily influenced, yeah.
Yeah, and I never connected that because I sort of went off in a different direction, I guess, and came back to all of this. And I thought, gee, you know, this is really good stuff. So I got a real love of black metal, which really surprised me, but I'm so glad because it is, you know, I listen to Dark Throne and it's like listening to a fusion of Venom and Motörhead, you know, it's really, really cool. So that sort of fueled into it. And then I realised, well, the studying just wasn't going anywhere to how I wanted. So I stopped doing it. And then it left me with this big void of all this research and all these sort of new skills I'd learned. And I thought, well, I always wanted to do a series of books about heavy metal drummers and say, look, world, these guys are amazing. And 10 years then roll on, and actually the rest of the world is starting to catch up and go, yeah, they are. You know, people's recognition of guys from that era has grown and grown and grown. And it seemed like a really good time to get the book finished because I have quite a few on the go, and my wife said to me for God's sake, just finish one. And, there's the truth.
That's excellent.
It had to be Phil Taylor. I mean, I've got quite a lot of drumming heroes, but Phil was definitely first. And I think probably, and I'm sure a lot of Motörhead fans relate to this, it is a lifestyle choice. It's a way of being, Lemmy, as a person, he was really philosophical. And I've studied a lot of philosophy, and I still kind of think, well, actually, Lemmy, you knew a hell of a lot more than you gave on. And he was a well-read guy. And that really comes through. And I found that since I've released this book, it's almost become like, I feel like I'm a human Wikipedia, because I've had so many people show interest in it and want to kind of, for me to take a bit more responsibility for it in a way and make this a better piece of work. So, that's why I'm really open to talking to people about it, because I kind of feel that I want to take and keep revising this. So it gets better and better and better as a body of work, because, I had the honour of hearing from his sisters. They got in contact soon after I released it, and we've generated a few conversations, which has been really nice. I had a guy that, funny enough, a cousin of mine from Weapon, who supported Motörhead on the Ace Up Your Sleeve tour, and it's been a lot of interest, and I felt really excited about that, to think, well, hang on, people do remember Phil. Because obviously when Phil and Lemmy passed away in the same year, Lemmy obviously stepped in the limelight with it.
Sure, overshadowed the news. Yeah,
overshadowed Phil. And I felt, well, hang on, there's a lot of people out there that really remember Phil, and you think how successful they were. He was an iconic figure. For all his antics, and I wanted to show people, not just because obviously people want to know all the stories. Well, that's a book in itself. The man
exactly.
But I wanted to just show, hang on, this guy can play, and I wanted to prove it to myself, And actually, it did for me. It really did make me think. Actually, a lot of what I do and the way I play, I recognised in his playing. And even though I got into other things like Latin and all sorts of stuff, it's going back to play along to Motörhead. I don't feel I had to sort of do anything other than just sit behind a kit and play, because it's just like breathing. I think when you've grown up with a piece of music, it becomes part of you.
Oh yeah, music activates the brain in the way nothing else does, right? I mean, you don't just hear music, you feel music.
Well, you must know that yourself. Come and see some bass guitars in the background, and I know are you bassist in your band?
Yeah.
So you're doing Loser, which is So you
might remember there was a song called Loser by a particular band. Yeah. So we are just getting to the point of a showcase. So I'm quite excited to launch it. Quite excited. We'll be down in Hull actually in March.
Okay.